Before we get started, I want to introduce the cast. First, there's me. I'm Mel, 20 years old, 6'3" and 190 pounds. I'm ripped and muscular if I say so myself. Then we have Lady K. She's the object of the beard's affection. She's the wonderful milady, the damsel in distress, the suffering maiden. Yeah, all of that. She's 19, sporty and athletic, but she's recovering from a neck and back injury, hence the distress. I've been friends with her since I was 10 years old. Then we have Mr. A. He's my best friend. He's doing the same university course as me. He's the same age, and I've known him since I was 11. He's huge. He's like 215 pounds of muscle. I'm gonna be using a lot of hyperboles for this guy, as with you do with all good bros. Then we have Andrew, which is COLLEGEBEARD, or Mr. Dorito. He's 20 years old, extremely arrogant, seriously obese, and all around the white knight. He thinks he's going pro in Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and any other game that he has played recently. Spoiler alert, he's not. Again, hyperboles and exaggerations will be used to death on this guy. Our story begins at university. Mr. A and I took a gap year. We traveled to Vietnam and Australia to see the sights. Not once did I get emasculated by a dropping bear or bitten by rattlers. Lady K skipped her gap year because she wanted to catch up with us so that she could take the classes together with us, because we both literally don't know anybody at university, save one or two people. It is orientation day, and we're all looking around campus to figure out where our lecture locations are and who's on our courses. We all introduce ourselves, and now enters our hero, Andrew, who comes up to me with the classy one-liner about a demeaning role for women, and this is what he says.
Some chick needs to get me a sandwich, am I right? Ha 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 ha.
In my endless masculinity, I respond, oh yeah, whatever dude. While I'm not a feminist, I am definitely not a middle-aged minded dope who wants women to get in their place or anything like that. So you can understand that Andrew and I did not get off on a great start, and I saw Mr. A and Lady K looking around. Unfortunately, Andrew sees where I'm looking. He starts toward them, and I follow. I'm dragging my feet because I am dreading the coming cringe. To his credit, Andrew didn't immediately make Mr. A and Lady K hate him. He merely said,
Hi, I'm Andrew. Can I have your number? I don't have many friends here, and you look like you need a good one.
Lady K looked bemused, and she mumbled something about her phone being low on battery. Andrew was not dismayed though, and he replied with a speedy,
Oh, that's okay. You can have my number some other time. You won't be able to evade me forever.
Absolute cringe. At this point, I made some comment along the lines of, well, we've got a real player over here. Hide your wives. Or maybe I said that one later to my friends. I'm kind of fuzzy on the details. Meanwhile, students had found their study groups and we were getting to know each other. So we dutifully went and said hello to all the people in our classes. And Andrew followed me around, saying,
Wow, that chick is smoking my carriage. You need to help me get to know her better.
Now I'm crushing on Lady K pretty bad at this point, so his comments merely angered me. I turned around, and very politely, I asked him to please stop following me. Amazingly, he didn't. Yeah, I know. I may have come across a little bit too harsh on Dewey, but this story is just getting started. At this point, I saw a fairly arrogant and extremely fat man trying to make moves on my crush. But oh boy does it get worse. So, at a little party we had to kick off the year, this was to help us to get to know everyone, and everyone was invited. I went, like the normie half-wit that I am, and so did Lady K, but Mr. A couldn't go. Beers aplenty and food in the huge bowls, all popcorn and chips, and such like. As Lady K swims competitively and is getting back into her game after a neck injury, she avoids the snack foods. I really should have done it too, as I need to be fit for my sports, mainly basketball and badminton, but I'm a total pushover for free food, and snacks are my weakness. Cue our friendly neighborhood fedora man. Boom! He comes in, fedora on his greasy, lanky hair, and he makes a beeline for the face that he recognizes. Unfortunately, that face is mine. Lady K is standing next to me, who is awkwardly, but attractively leaning on the wall. She's trying to avoid conversation. With all the dignity that I can muster, I stuff my face with chips and popcorn. Lady K doesn't have the option. Andrew is also pigging out. He's got to maintain that huge fleshy mountain of his. Also, unfortunately, he doesn't care to machine gun us with the half-chewed bits of popcorn while he talks to us.
Hi, Lady K. Hey, Festus. Nice party, don't you think?
No, I really don't think. It's a bust. And nobody's mingling, just sitting around and performing clicks and gossiping about who banged who. Undeterred, our hero continues.
Are you not eating, Lady K?
Without waiting for a reply, he blunders on.
It's horrible how some women are forced not to eat. Most women would be a lot more attractive if they had some more weight. But I guess it saves money.
There, he did it. Lady K suffered for about 4 years of severe anorexia, and she fought herself out of it by swimming and getting competitive. My sister nearly died from anorexia, and she's had mental and eating disorders ever since. I see red. At the moment, the only thing that's holding me back from hitting this enormous meat bag is my inherent introversion and beta tendencies. Lady K sucks in some air through her teeth at his comment, but otherwise remains silent. I'm pretty sure that my face was red, because our master of social interactions comments on that next.
Wow, Festus. Are you okay? You're gone all red. Is there anything you need to tell me?
I keep silent and just chug my beer because I'm a Brit, and dang it, if we do anything well, it's passively aggressively keeping quiet. I had hopes that Dubaka would go away, especially when he sensed the mood, but he doesn't seem to get the hint very well. The party drags on till 1 a.m., at which things start to actually get started, and it started to get interesting. But then the alcohol ran out, and everyone left as if the room had a strong smell of stale Cheetos or flat dew. Oh wait. I live on campus for the first year of university, and so did Lady K and Mr. A. As mentioned, Mr. A was indisposed, and he was up in London, so his bed was free, as we bunked in the same room. Lady K and I went back to my room, and we seethed together about what Jupiter had said. We drank through my reserve alcohol, and we got pretty sloshed. And Lady K went back to her room around 4 a.m., so that our roomie wouldn't expect that anything was wrong. So I was furious at Andrew, and I barely got any sleep. This put me in an even worse mood than I had been before. Hopefully this gives you guys some context as to why I despise Andrew. Don't worry, there's more to come. From stalking to fat logic, to threats of violence and general neckbeardery. Last time I talked about COLLEGEBEARD. He's a guy that we met at college. This is another story that I have about him. Now let's talk about our cast members. There's me. I'm Mel, 20 years old, 6'3", 190 pounds, ripped and muscular if I say so myself. I play a lot of Counter-Strike. That's relevant later. And I'm kind of a weeb, as I play Dark Souls and I watch anime. Then we have Lady K. That's the object of the beard's affections. She's 19 years old, sporty and athletic, and we've been friends since I was 10 years old. Then we got Mr. A. He's my best friend. We're doing the same university courses, and we're the same age. I've known him since I was 11 years old. He's huge. He's like 215 pounds of muscle. Then we've got Andrew, COLLEGEBEARD or Mr. Dorito. He's 20 years old, arrogant as heck, and he's seriously obese. Then we've got a new cast member. This is Pizza Guy. He's an awesome dude, and he plays Counter-Strike with us. He's better than me, and he spends way too much time on Counter-Strike, or he just spends more time than I do. He isn't too big of a character, but he is relevant. Our frolic begins as it always should, on a weekend, just after the flop of a party. So Lady K and I, we're nursing a slight hangover and general tiredness. I boot up my laptop to see a recent message or 50 on Steam from an account I don't recognize. Naturally, I ask who he is, and I get this shockingly fast response that it's Andrew from university. He wants to play some Counter-Strike. Now, I'm a Master Guardian Elite, so I'm not the best, but I'm pretty good. Lady K is a Master Guardian too, and Mr. A is a Gold Nova Master, as he started later than us. And Pizza Guy, he is the best of us. He's a legendary Eagle Master. Andrew, he's a Gold Nova 3, with several thousand hours of Counter-Strike. So he has played far more than any of us, and he's not as good as us. We get into a competitive match, and this is from dusk till yawn, and it's going very well. We are up 9-6, and on the first half, we're on the terrorist side. Sorry for all the Counter-Strike buzzwords. Andrew is really bad, like not checking corners, missing hard scoped snipes where he knew exactly where they were, flashbanging his own team by accident, and etc. Additionally, he doesn't seem to know about spray patterns, and he panics a lot. The beardery happens around 12:12 a.m. Now we're on the counter-terrorist side, and it is me and Andrew against 4 of them. 3 were pushing up long, where I am with an M4 and a deagle, but I managed to get them all, but it was a fake. They were all going to B to plant. Andrew rushes over to help, and the other team gets the bomb down. As soon as he sees me, he kills me, then apologizes because he thought I was a terrorist. We did win, but not before some unwanted expedition. He started saying things like,
"Girls can't play Counter-Strike. I don't even know why they even bother."
Right before Lady K got a sick 1 versus 5 win. At this point, I'm feeling pretty sorry for this guy, as he genuinely sounds lonely, and I can completely relate to that. However, he continues to spout,
"Girls can't play Counter-Strike,"
lines in Skype call after the game is over, much to my annoyance. Lady K challenged him to a 1v1, any map, any weapon, and he obviously accepts, like the neckbeard he is. How else are you gonna get the girls other than to beat them in a video game? Long story short, she beats him horribly bad, and she doesn't die once. And then he complains,
"This isn't possible. She has to be cheating."
She wasn't. He did a lot of mistakes, like coming out in the open. He didn't account for spray of the weapons. He never walked to hide his noise, not even once. I wonder how the heck he was a Gold Nova master, as he is nowhere near as good as any other Gold Novas. Lady K was mad. She beat him fairly, and then he complains about methods. She yells at him a little bit, not very harshly or loudly, but it reduces him to tears nonetheless, and he quits the Skype call. As the glorious beta that I am, I decided to go and make sure that he was okay. You know, to be a decent human being for once in my life. I knock on his door, and slowly, the entrance to hell opens. The first thing that hits me is the smell. He has had this room for, no joke, 2 days, and yet it smells rancid, like someone mixed stale sweat, a copious amount of Cheetos, cream cheese, and an odd fishy smell. The next thing that I noticed was the posters on the wall. We're allowed to decorate our rooms, but his posters were all of anime waifus in compromising positions, with very few intact clothes on. To my eternal shame, I recognized every single anime girl, as I have watched all of the anime. There was Asuna from Sword Art Online, Mikasa from Attack on Titan, and even Casca from Berserk. Even after just 2 days, a large amount of plates have accumulated around his computer, which was where the ham himself resided. Tears dripped down from the peach fluffy called a beard, and his enormous stomach had a mysterious stain on it. I was unsure about what to say. I decided to remain painfully silent, as only a Brit can, and he breaks down in front of me saying,
"I hate myself. I want a girlfriend so badly. But all the women out there are stupid witches. They don't know a real man when they see one."
Now I'm completely straight, and I've been known to be a bit beardy at times, but I've never broken down in front of a random guy that I hardly know, and insult half of the human population. As mentioned, I'm feeling really sorry for him at this point, but the smell is really getting to me. So I say some kind and thoughtful words to make sure he feels better, then I quickly exit the room. I told Lady K what happened, and what he said, and the waifu posters and the fishy smell. She seemed a bit troubled, but that didn't stop us from getting completely drunk again, and playing Brawlhalla while inebriated. I would recommend that, by the way. The story of COLLEGEBEARD, and the day at the gym. It's been so nice to be able to vent about Andrew for once. This story is going to be a good one, as we are going to the gym today. Put on your running underwear, strap on your moves with your sports bra, because we're lifting today. Here's the returning cast. Here's me, 20 years old, 6'3", 190 pounds, ripped and muscular. Then we have Lady K, the object of the beard's affection. She's 19, sporty and athletic. Mr. A, my best friend. He's the same age. He is a huge muscular guy. Then we've got Andrew, or Mr. Dorito, aka COLLEGEBEARD. He's 20 years old, arrogant as heck, seriously obese, and all-around white knight. We last left our hero after our escapades in the world of Counter-Strike, but at this point I was fearing for my gains, so we went to the local gym, a sanctuary for muscle and tone. A place where like-minded people can get together and get swole. Not a euphemism. It's just, gaining muscle. We went in, we purchased a membership for me, Lady K, and Mr. A. We went and got changed in the respective locker rooms, hyped for the long-awaited workout, and unfortunately this sight hit our eyes. Andrew, clad in far too form-fitting workout gear. He was already at the gym. At least he didn't stalk us, and he had the sense to remove the hat from his greasy hair. We had a system for the gym, and we don't get in each other's way. Today, Mr. A was doing his back, whereas Lady K and I were working on legs. It was agreed that Lady K would spot for me today, as Mr. A was on the other side of the gym. We did our warm-ups, then we got to the squat rack. I love squats. I felt like Atlas when you lift more than your own body weight. And the leg soreness is all but gone for me now, because I do leg days so often. So I add 10 kilograms to each side, that's like 220 pounds. And Lady K takes up the spotter's position behind me as I lift the weight. Andrew doesn't like this. Nope, not one bit. He waddles up to us, and he starts talking to Lady K.
He only got you to spot for him because he wants you to be really physically close to him.
There's some truth to this, but not entirely for that reason. Then he directs his insults to me.
She couldn't lift that weight. Why do you have her spotting for you?
I'm upset now, and so is Lady K. You don't interrupt a guy when he's in the middle of a set. It's not done. I step out from the squat rack and I yell at him, but before I can, he gets to me. He pokes me in the chest and he says,
"You don't respect Lady K. I could destroy you in a duel."
Cringy. Lady K gets me to spot for her when she's lifting 70 kilograms, around 150 pounds. And I take up my position behind her, mostly for moral support, as she can lift that weight quite easily, and also to shut the do up. After 15 minutes later, we're both closing in on our 1 rep max. She lifts 95 kilograms. Beardo is constantly saying something like,
"You're weak if you need a girl to spot you."
But he shuts up when she lifts 95 kilograms. Beardy hasn't done anything all session. Something else that irritates me in gym. And I've been sweating my butt off, making my legs cry. I go over to the dumbbell rack and I do calf raises. And Lady K joins me, and we chat about a whole lot of nothing. She just recently got the all clear for her back from the doctor. Yay! So now she's working out with passion like I've never seen before. Eventually, we tire. We take a break outside the gym, sipping water and just chatting, when who follows us out? None other than Andrew, to ruin our break. And he begins to talk about me like I'm not even there. Stuff like,
"Oh, don't you hate it when guys have to prove their masculinity to you?"
And,
"Wow, there are some Neanderthals in that gym, am I right?" Ha 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 ha.
Generally stuff that irritates both me and Lady K. Then he crosses the line when he says,
"All these girls in the gym, they're making themselves look like boys. Must be some kind of anorexia. They would be so much more attractive if they put on a few kilos. Of course, it can be hard for some to put on weight, as size is mostly due to genetics."
"No, you're just fat." We got up seething and walked back into the gym, doing the one-handed bro push-up. That's where you hold one of the other person's hands so they can balance while they work off steam, so we can stop ourselves from beating the crap out of this certain beard. We eventually return to campus, and the 3 of us congregate in mine and Andrew's room to watch a film. Drinks were had. We're students. What do you expect? And much complaining was done about a certain fat person. Andrew had effectively destroyed all of our sympathy because of his laziness and his outdated points of view, and just plain idiocy disguised as fat logic. You can always lose weight, just as you can always gain weight. Some people have a more or less active thyroid gland, but your body obeys the laws of thermodynamics, and as such, by doing exercise you can burn calories. It is very simple. Your
Genetics
and
conditions
are less of a factor in your size than your crappy attitude to exercise. It gets worse. It gets so much worse, especially about the time when Andrew tries Facebook. But that is a tale to be told for a later time. Andrew, the College Beard, and the Fellowship of the Beard. Greetings and salutations. I am currently on holiday from university, and I have like 2 months to do nothing, so I'm a little bored. Talking about Andrew is a good way to pass the time though, so here's the next story in the series. Here's the cast. Me, Festus. I'm 20 years old, 6'3", 190 pounds with an athletic build. I have a major crush on Lady K. Lady K, the object of the Beard's affection and mine. She's 19, sporty, athletic. We've been best friends since I was 10 years old. Mr. A, he's my best friend. We're the same age. I've known him since I was 11 years old, and he's a huge muscular guy. Andrew, or Mr. Dorito. He's 20 years old, extremely arrogant, seriously obese, and all-around white knight. Here's new character hype. Cupcake. This is Lady K's friend, and mine too. I've known her since I was 13. She's slightly chubby, but not bad looking. She's a bit of a social justice warrior, but generally a nice person. Andrew has laid low for the past few days, going to introduction lectures and trying not to screw up too massively. Mostly successful with this for a while, but then, one day, he messed up. It was a beautiful Wednesday morning. The birds were singing, students were dragging themselves toward the dining hall, just like a band of acne-ridden zombies. Mostly we ate cereal and toast, but occasionally there would be some hero that would cook some eggs and bacon, or something like that, and the zombies would form their pack and barrel towards the serving tables. This Wednesday was such a day, a slightly warmer than usual autumn morning, worthy of glorious fried bacon. Andrew was first in line, having put on a sprint that I wouldn't have thought he was capable of. He piled up his plate, rasher upon rashers, fat upon fat, nearly taking a third of all the precious available bacon. I watched in amusement as he gets yelled at by half of the university. Sitting next to Lady K, as we ate our cereal in peace, it was not to be, however, as with a great thunk of flesh on wood, Andrew plops down next to Lady K, and he begins to ram forkfuls of bacon into his rank-smelling maw. Lady K looks slightly green, as his outward bulges make contact with her side and arm. Noticing her predicament, I subtly scooched up to the bench, allowing her some breathing room. Andrew, however, like a cloud of gas, will expand to fill any container that he's in. Andrew, having finished his gargantuan plate of bacon, speaks, spraying us in half the room with the partially chewed flakes of bacon.
Hey, Lady K, do you want to go see a film with me? Sinister came out recently. We can just go on our own.
That's really kind of you to offer, but you see, Festus has already taken me to see that movie, and I wanted to go with him. I wasn't actually. It's a crap movie. Now, this would have been my dream to come true if it was under different circumstances, as I was really crushing on her. But as it is, I rolled with it to see where it went. Yeah, mate, sorry. I didn't know that you wanted to take her, I said. Now I wanted to see how far I could push it. So I said, yeah, we've been dating for a while now. I nudged Lady K's arm to let her know that it was a joke. As it was, she was bright red and looked down at the table. So what did our master of social interaction do next? He took to Facebook and posted a bunch of edgy memes about pushing nice guys over the edge and making them snap, or how women only go for a-holes, and how nice guys are left in the friend zone. Now in the comments of these memes, he always would link our Facebook profiles, and we got a bunch of hate mail from his Neckbeard friends. How he found us and why we accepted his request, I'll never know. No joke. On my wall was like 50 different aggressive comments, all of which were deleted by me, so that my mom didn't see. She does check up on me from time to time. Introducing Cupcake, who goes on to every one of the Neckbeards accounts and posts stuff about respecting boundaries and about bullying. She gets really upset about the comments, so we make a group chat and we talk about everything, explaining that no, we are not dating. I have not raped Lady K, never will, and obviously, don't tell the parents, they'll lose it. I discovered a few odd tendencies of his, like he would go on huge Facebook rants, presumably drunk, then make some advances or stalkerish comments on Lady K's really old photos, before posting some passive-aggressive memes about nice guys. So, I have demonstrated how twisted he is, and how he creeps out everyone that he meets, and for some who never met him, such as Cupcake. Next, we'll talk about Andrew and his thoughts on atheism, and the topic of sex and marriage, so that should be fun. COLLEGEBEARD and the champion of atheism. Okay, now that the characters are established, we can start into the more interesting parts. From here on in, the stories will contain creep level stuff. So if you're not comfortable with that, you probably want to turn back now. Enough said, let's get started. There's me, Festus, your narrator. 20 years old, 6'3", and 190 pounds. I'm Christian, fairly religious, but I'm one of those live and let live type. Screw me, right? Then there's my major crush, Lady K. I'm pretty sure she feels similar, but I'm too beta to do anything yet. Be it as it may, she's the object of the beard's affection. She's 19, sporty and athletic. She's been my friend since 10 years old. She's also Christian. Mr. A. He's my best friend, doing the same university course as me, same age. I've known him since I was 11. He's a huge muscle guy. Agnostic. He leans toward there's a God, but he doesn't know or care which. Andrew, or Mr. Dorito. He's 20 years old, he's arrogant as heck, seriously obese, and all-around white knight. Thinks very atheistic. All of the wake up sheeple and you've all been blinded crap from him. So this tale takes place shortly after our hero's Facebook frolicking, and I'm not particularly proud about how I acted in this one. Lady K and I are discussing recent lectures. We are both taking physics and chemistry courses. We're talking in the commons room when all of a sudden, with the screams of banshees heralding his arrival, our favorite fedora floats into the room, perched precariously atop the mop of a blowed-on humanity. People dive out the windows, through the fire exits. One man runs into a wall, this being in his haste to escape the toxic odors exuding from this monstrosity. Okay, maybe he just walked in and plopped down on the sofa. The rest is just my imagination of my fight or flight response when he appeared. Andrew seems very pleased with himself, and he's even humming the theme to the song from Attack on Titan. And this one I cringed so hard at this point. I asked him what happened to make him so happy. And he responds with,
I just schooled some funny Christian scum. And a lot of them don't even know how to argue, and don't even know basic facts about science and evolution.
Andrew is a physics student, above average intelligence, but doesn't work. So he gets by with third-class marks constantly. Both I and Lady K work our butts off doing 2 degrees, and we get first-class grades in everything, because we work hard, dang it. Everything that I've achieved, I've worked for. Andrew has coasted by doing as little as he could. I asked him what the heck he meant by the lot of them, to which he responds,
Oh, I didn't realize that you're a man who sympathizes with child rapists and anti-intellectuals.
Never, ever joke about rape in front of me. I'm pretty easygoing most of the time, but if I think you do anything but sympathize 100% with rape victims, you're going to have a bad time. I didn't realize that you were so pig-headed, and that you were a closed-minded half-wit who couldn't see reason if it danced in front of your face. At this point, Andrew decides to go all out. He reaches into his extra-large bum bag, and he pulls out the problem of evil.
You think God is nice, huh? How could he let babies drown in a flood if he's so nice?
In response, I used my preferred theodicy, a way of dealing with the problem of evil, the Augustine theodicy. Evil does not exist, just as darkness and cold does not exist. Evil is the absence of good, as is dark the absence of light. You moronic piece of dog crap. Yeah, I'm mad, and I tried genuinely not to swear or to name call, but this poop blossom is pushing all my buttons. Andrew, the debate master, the fifth horseman of atheism, retorts with the classic,
You've got to be a primary schooler to believe in God. Evolution disproves him.
Now I love science, and I want to devote my life to it, and saying that I haven't thought of something is the ultimate insult that you could probably give me. So I respond, yeah, evolution disproves God like the car manufacturer robot disproves Henry Ford's existence, as in it doesn't. Besides, why would a rational God make the world irrationally? He then says,
Screw you. You're worse than they are. How many children have you molested, and how many women have you oppressed, you jerk? Come with me, Lady K. You need to get away from this freak before he pulls you into his lies. It's called marriage. and then systematically raped you for the rest of your life.
So I pushed him. It was only a gentle push, in my opinion. If I would have done it to Mr. A, he would have just laughed and slapped me back. But Andrew went flying. He stumbled back, tripped over his own feet, and fell over. Then Lady K said, "I'm Christian too, you dumb butt. So why don't you stop insulting me, my friend, and my God, and go back to munching your snack foods?" Needless to say, Andrew was upset, and there was a plethora of memes and freaking paragraphs on his Facebook page when we looked. I was mortified and ashamed of myself, because I never react physically to people. It proves them right if you feel the need to resort to violence. Lady K and I spent that afternoon doing damage control. We got no work done, meaning the entire Saturday was going to be taken up by catching up on my work. Luckily, we weren't reported for our actions, but Beatus Boy was getting me down big time. Lady K, Mr. A, and I, we went out to the bar to get heroically sloshed in order to make up for the day. Halfway through the evening, Lady K's phone rings, and she didn't recognize the number, but that's a story for another time. So, this story starts right off where we left. If you remember, Lady K got a call from a number she didn't recognize, and she was slightly buzzed. Actually, she was utterly smashed. While trying to answer the phone, she accidentally hit the wrong button 3 times. When she finally answered it, it's Andrew. Of course it's Andrew. To this day, I don't know how he got her number. Perhaps he bribed one of the reception staff into giving the number. Anyway, she picks up, and she knows right away that it's him. He's using a different voice, just putting on a deeper, more masculine tone, speaking like someone else, but it's really obvious it's him, because he's terrible at disguising his voice. According to Lady K, he asked her,
"Leave the bar. Go to the first dark alley you come to."
And she's not completely retarded. She refused, and she put her phone down and continued with her evening, only slightly worried. The evening goes on, and I need to go to the toilet. Her phone rings again, and this time, the number is withheld. Nervously, she picks up the phone, and a different voice speaks. Then it says this,
"So-and-so University, room number 123.
before hanging up. As time goes on, random Facebook accounts start messaging her, but all of them have been made less than a week ago. All of the accounts were allegedly of people she knew. All of them told her that she was being a stupid hoe, and that she needed a real man to make her happy. In the middle of the night, someone would bang on her door and run away. Once, it's a prank. Twice, a joke gone too far. But for 2 straight weeks it happened. About a week after the late night knocks stopped, we were invited to a party. It was just a small one. It only had about 12 people. This was actually a secret party. Just to give you an idea of how secret this party was, just those invited were told, in person, on the day before the party. Lady K and I went, but Mr. A wasn't invited. It was actually pretty fun, until about 2 a.m., when Andrew turned up. He was wearing, no joke, a maroon fedora and a brown suit jacket, and also wearing basketball shorts. He just walks in, ignoring everyone's protest, went right up to Lady K, grabbed her hand, and tried to kiss her.
"Kiss me, Lady K."
She jerked her hand away and subtly put me between her and Andrew. We left the party right after that. I let her stay in my room that night because she didn't want to be alone. Over the course of the next few weeks, I often glimpsed a flash of a trench coat, a glimmer of a sweaty forehead, and also the flash of a fedora. Whenever I saw it, I would just subtly guide Lady K down an unexpected route. Unfortunately, he always found us. If I remember correctly, Lady K had an iPhone 4, so I went into the location settings, and I turned off all of our GPS settings. Lo and behold, we lost him. I eventually found a cheeky little app, which appeared to be a duplicate App Store icon, but when tapped, it brought up an option menu to send text and to store numbers, which contained the location of the phone. I deleted all of the entries, and also deleted the app. Lady K didn't have a password, so I told her that she really needed to put a passcode on her phone, and she agreed. A month later, it was intern week. I screwed up all my alpha points, took the plunge, and asked Lady K out. Luckily, she said yes to a film and a meal, and we sorta made it official in that the only people who knew were me, her, and Mr. A. We eventually had to go to the sports center and to work out. Someone else had the idea too. No sooner had we changed, in comes le cum de la cum of humanity. Following us into the building was none other than Andrew and his BFF, Neckbeards. Buckle up, boys. We got a new beard in town. Neckbeards is one of those other beards at university. Great bond with Andrew. He's skinny, repulsive, he's got mummy issues, but he's actually kind of smart. I try to not let them get to me, as Lady K and I go through our lifting routine, while these mistreated rats keep telling us I was mostly successful. That is, until we get into the basketball courts. It is as Lady K and I are warming up, shooting some hoops with Kyrie, another friend of mine, that they approach us.
We challenge you to a little game, in the catch being that the winner gets Lady K.
We accepted that challenge, knowing full well that we would win. The game went slowly, with some chill plays from me and Lady K, with some clutch plays from the Beachfront brothers. Despite the game having lasted less than 10 minutes, both the bearded brothers were dripping with sweat, and they stunk like a pigsty. I was bored to tears, and wanted to play with Kyrie. So I got a hold of the ball, ankle broke Beatus with the most basic crossover, and charged Andrew, knocking him to his butt and winding him completely. I got the dunk too. Immediately, Andrew starts to whine,
"That's not fair. You aren't playing the rules of basketball. It doesn't count."
I don't know what he was complaining about. I had a huge grease spot on the back of my Lakers jersey from boxing out Andrew one too many times. Now the thing's gonna have to be burned now. Alas, we won. Lady K being part of the group, I guess she won herself? So what he did was he came in here, followed me around, challenged me to a match of my own sport, for my own girlfriend, then whined that his fat butt couldn't handle 10 minutes of the sport. A real class act here if you ask me. I was hot, covered in other people's sweat, and pretty mad. I needed a good swim to calm down. Part of my reasoning was that they couldn't anticipate us going swimming, right? More wrong than an all-you-can-eat Dorito and Do buffet. More wrong than a morbidly obese beard cosplaying as Kratos at a gaming convention. A bit of friendly advice. Never expose my lady's skin in the presence of one. As a matter of fact, wore more neckbeards. I can be thankful that it was a competition swimsuit that Lady K was wearing, as those generally cover most of the body. Either way, Lady K and I changed once more, hit the showers, and then got into the pool. She thought I was a bit cocky after the basketball game, and so she had to ruin me by annihilating me in the swimming pool. Soon after, however, I noticed a very fat shadow over the water, and in my head the jaws scene began to play. We swam frantically back to the side of the pool, but we were too slow, as Lady K was torn from my side, and the waters turned red, and the chunks of flesh floated past me. Lady K was devoured, or something. Actually, what really happened was that the beard felt the sudden urge to complain to my lady and to offer her a way out of her abusive relationship, where the guy said horrible things like, "Oh man, you look beautiful," and slurs like, "Hey gorgeous." What he said was,
Lady K, you don't have to go through this. There's a better way. A way that you can be loved and cherished for who you are, rather than your physical features. You don't have to starve yourself or conform to the ideals of beauty. You don't have to put yourself out to an unloving man wearing revealing clothes and performing services for him.
What I really want to know is why he thought that she performed services for me. Perhaps it was part of his fantasies? Either way, he was being a general nice guy, and obviously felt like he deserved something from her, even after all he had done to her in the short time that he knew her. Lady K was sick of this guy's crap, and she went on to say,
"How about you leave me the hell alone and stick your acne-ridden nose in someone else's crotch? I am loved for who I am, as well as my physical features. My body is my choice, and none of your business, you grease-ridden freak. And for your information, I feel beautiful about myself, and I don't require some so-called nice guys to tell me that I'm beautiful, and any services that I give to my boyfriend are completely my business, not yours. He doesn't choose how I dress or tell me where to kiss him because he treats me as an independent human being capable of thought outside of what others think of me."
We left the pool very quickly after that, changing once again and returning to the campus. So, it was about time that Lady K snapped, and boy did she make a scene at the swimming pool. Even the memories from this make me giggle from time to time. Still to come, Christmas, Andrew and D&D, Comic-Con, and general invasion of privacy. This story begins just after Christmas exams at university, in the time between finishing them and returning home. I love Christmas, and this Christmas was especially good, for the soon-to-be disclosed reasons. Here's your cast. I'm Festus. I'm your narrator, Mel, age 20, 6'3", and I'm Christian. I'm dating Lady K, and I'm loving life at this point. Lady K, the object of the beard's affection. The wonderful milady, the damsel in distress, the suffering maiden. Yep, all of that. She's 19, sporty and athletic. We've been friends since I was 10 years old, and she's also Christian. Andrew, or Mr. Dorito. He's 20 years old, exceedingly arrogant, seriously obese, and all-around white knight. New character hype. My mom. She's about 53, gray hair, but she's the nicest woman you will ever meet. So kind in everything. She's also Christian. She cooks like a 5-star chef. My dad, he's 54. He's got a PhD in math, very smart, and Christian. And he always tries to do his best for all of his kids, but sometimes doesn't manage. But he's an all-around fantastic guy. The enabler, Andrew's mom. Quite a nice woman, but she spoils her only kid. Andrew hates her, but she's actually very kind and compassionate. She's a friend of my cousin's, which is a very important detail. Now, Christmas parties at university are the thing to go to. Everyone drinks, everyone parties, and usually we play a bunch of kids games, and they're actually fun, like musical chairs, Twister. It got to be around 1 a.m. at the party, and the people started getting really drunk. Myself and Lady K included. We went and found a quiet room, and we did couple stuff for a while. I found out later from a girl that apparently some large, foul-smelling guy had been asking about Lady K and giggling to himself. According to her, he was holding something behind his back he didn't want anyone to see. Returning to my room, I made coffee for us and handed Lady K her clothes before starting to pack. We had to clear out our rooms at the end of every trimester. I also packed a bunch of Lady K stuff that gravitated to my room. After she was done in the shower, we switched places. She packed all of her stuff in my room, and I showered. It was just as I was coming out of the shower, there was a knock on the door. So I answered it, but I was only wearing a towel. Surprise, surprise, it's Andrew.
Oh, hi Festus. Is Lady K in there?
I considered the mound of blubber before me, like a slightly evolved well, with none of the natural beauty of wells. Now, there's something you've got to understand about Lady K. She is very mischievous, and she will prank someone if they open themselves up to it. Like Attenborough regarding a seal pup devoured by an orca, I watched in fascination as she mouthed the words,
"Keep him busy."
So with the utmost dignity and grace, I stuttered out, "Yeah, just getting out of the shower right now. You can wait for a bit if you want." Hook, line, and sinker. He bought the prank. Lady K had quickly, and out of sight of the door, stripped down to her underwear and wrapped a towel around her body, as if she had just come out of the shower, implying that we were showering together. She stepped up to the door, leaning on my shoulder, and says,
"Oh, hey Andrew. Festus and I are a bit busy at the moment. Could you say what you wanted to say?"
Andrew was speechless. He was red all over and quivering in fear. For once, he got social cues and the obvious implications. Shaking, he pulled from behind his back a large purple-wrapped Christmas present with gaudy ribbons and gave it to her with 2 hands. Lady K took the gift, thanked him, and made to close the door. However, before she can fully close the door, he managed to get out.
I hope you enjoy using your gift, despite whatever kind of relationship we're in at the moment. Always remember that there are other, better guys out there for you.
Intrigued, we opened the gift. And what was inside? A whole lot of atheist literature. The God Delusion, Selfish Gene, and The Blind Watchmaker, among other things. In an obviously open box, containing a pink vibrator and a tube of lube. I wish that I could say that I made this up, but I'm not. And told her to enjoy using it. Insert nausea here. I did not trust this vibrator, as the box had been very obviously disturbed. I threw it from the highest mountain into the fires of Mount Doom, and then nuked it to dispose of it. Or I just put it in the bin, one or the other. I didn't want to think about why the boxes were opened, and I definitely didn't want Lady K to be using anything he touched, ever. After finishing packing my room, we relocated to Lady K's room, packed up all of her stuff, and then cleaned up the room, just like we did to mine. Halfway through, the girl from across the hall told us that she heard someone at Lady K's door scratching and fumbling with the doorknob, accompanied by some heavy breathing, and finished off with some shoulder slams against the door. We dismissed the events, just Andrew being a freak as usual, and went on packing. Now, for the last few years, Lady K's family, just her mom and dad, had invited me around for a week. Then, after Christmas, my family had invited Lady K around for the new year. This year was no different, but I'm gonna skip the week with Lady K's family and go straight into when Lady K and I went to my mom and dad's. We were preparing to travel up to the country to visit my cousins for the new year. It's about a 5-hour drive, which is actually pretty long for the UK. So we set off quite early so we can arrive around lunchtime. I was wearing one of the gifts that Lady K got me for Christmas. It was an engraved stone, threaded with some soft paracord, and it hung around my neck. She was wearing a small silver bracelet that I got her. Being 21 at this point, and a very responsible adult, I drove my ancient little car up with me and Lady K inside. My mom drove herself with my dad. Upon arriving at my cousin's house, I noticed a strange odor, like crushed and stale Doritos mixed with Dorito pizza, and blended into a milkshake, as well as a thick sweat that only one certain individual can produce. My cousins are lovely people, but a bit too accepting at times. And to their eternal shame, they had invited over a family friend and her repulsive offspring. Of course, it was the enabler and Andrew. I had known Enabler for quite a while, but I hadn't known that her son was Andrew. Or rather, I'd hoped that he wasn't. The first thing she said to me was,
"Well, Festus, my Andrew tells me that you two enjoyed your first term at university together. I hope he hasn't been getting up to no good with any of the girls on campus."
I almost told her. Almost. As it was, I decided to hold it back, or until a time that he made me the most mad, and I said nothing.
"I understand that it was Andrew who helped to get you and Lady K together. How'd he do that?"
I nearly popped a vein when he said that. As is, I must have been worryingly red in my face, because Lady K came to my rescue, spinning a tale about Andrew persuading me to ask her out. I could have kissed her for saving me, but the story itself made me want to hit something. So I did the only thing that a reasonable British person could do. I made tea for everyone to avoid conversation. My family knew about the relationship between myself and Lady K at this point, and as such, sleeping arrangements were devised to keep us apart after hours, with Lady K sleeping in my female cousin's room on an inflatable air mattress, and me sharing the lounge with Andrew. So by evening, everyone was full of food, feeling full and satisfied. We all made our way to the lounge to watch some trashy TV Christmas specials. It was so bad and hammy that it was actually good. The atmosphere was chilled out and relaxed, and everyone was comfortably buzzed. Alas, the perfect evening was not to be, as Andrew spotted the silver bracelet on Lady K's wrist, engraved with both mine and Lady K's name, which, like a red flag to a bull, caused him to explode in anger. He poked me in the ribs unexpectedly, causing me to jerk my arm from around Lady K's shoulder to cover my side. Lady K removed her hand from my thigh and looked angrily at Andrew.
"So,"
Andrew cried,
"you have labeled her as your own with a token, yet you're too much of a wussy to get her a ring?"
He spoke as if he made a great victory over me, loudly, so that everyone blaringly looked at him. Lady K and I are taking our relationship very slowly, but I did intend to marry her at some point, when I had the money, just not now. Lady K was the first to respond, and in an icy tone she said,
What the hell are you talking about, Andrew?
While gesturing her hand dismissively. Andrew didn't like that. Andrew wanted the bracelet gone, as though it was the only thing keeping our relationship together. So he grabbed Lady K's wrist He pulled the little silver bracelet viciously off her wrist. She cried out as it dug into her skin, causing angry red marks to appear on her wrist. Then the bracelet snapped, showering the room with little silver beads. The engraved silver charm with our names on it was flying into the ether, never to be seen again. We were all furious, and Lady K ducked out of the room, so I followed her. While the following events were happening, Lady K and I were sitting outside on the garden furniture, and I was trying to comfort her. I didn't see what happened next, but my dad told me everything. The enabler jumped up and was facing down my mom, who was furiously shouting at Andrew. The enabler shouted some choice words about my mom's parenting skills, before my mom went for the killing blow, saying,
"At least my son has less mass than a young whale, you witch."
Then Andrew got all up in my mom's face yelling,
You can't talk to my mom that way.
and making as if to hit her. But my cousin's father and my dad pulled him back and was shouting at him. The enabler's face apparently went white, whereas Andrew was red as Dorito dust. The enabler and Andrew stormed out of the house. That night was much better than I hoped, as Andrew was no longer taking up half the house, and I even got the big sofa to sleep on, which surely would have been stolen by Andrew due to his back problems. Despite the fact that my feet and hands hung off the smaller sofa, I never found all the bits to that bracelet, and Andrew was not going to buy a replacement. But in its place, I got Lady K a beautiful necklace instead. If you want some advice, never, ever spend Christmas with a neckbeard. They'll ruin the best holiday of the year. Well, here's another story of COLLEGEBEARD. Today's story is about how he destroyed my game time. And you'll also discover why my hobbies have such a negative stigma. My name is Festus. I'll be your narrator. I'm 20 years old. I'm dating Lady K, and I'm loving life at this point. Lady K, she's the object of the beard's affection. She's around 19 years old, and we've been friends since I was 10. Andrew, or COLLEGEBEARD, aka Mr. Dorito. He's also 20 years old, and he's the all-around white knight. Wings, he's a manager of the hobby store, where they sell all things nerdy. He's got long hair and a ponytail, but he's actually a very clean guy. He's really nice. I like him. He drinks a lot of Red Bull, hence the name. Gandalf, he's an old guy in his 70s. He does a lot of models for Warhammer, and he plays D&D with us. He's pretty good, and he always plays a wizard in D&D, hence the name. So, this iteration of the saga of Andrew takes place in February-March at the first year at university. It takes place in a hobby store, where normies and neckbeards alike comes together and just be nerds for once. As you may have guessed, I am, in fact, a nerd. There was a 12-hour hobby event going on at the store, with Warhammer games all day, and a couple of great dungeon masters for advanced D&D. I play 2nd edition, but if others don't, then I'd be happy to convert to other editions. That way I can get my nerd dopamine hit. I had to drag Lady K to the store, and despite herself, she was excited to get deeper into the nerddom than ever before. There was 3 games, lower tier, level 1 to 10, mid tier, level 11 to 16, and upper tier, level 17 plus. I sat down at the mid tier games with my multi-class paladin cleric at level 16, and Lady K joined. She borrowed my level 14 ranger. Then I felt a disturbance in the force, or gravity that is. Andrew, the behemoth. He comes in, and to the anguish of the poor chairs, he plops his arse right down at the circular table. He sees us and he gets back up again. Then he sits down right next to Lady K.
Oh, hello, Lady K.
I stopped caring about his precious feelings at this point, so I swapped chairs with Lady K. You can switch with me.
Figures.
Just as the last seat was taken by a pretty woman by the name of Fairy Dust. She plays a fairy bard, hence the name. We established the rules, and then we kicked it off, with Wings adopting a quiet voice to get us in the mood. A fairly standard murder mystery dungeon crawl, which is actually really fun. Everybody starts playing for fun, after Gandalf only speaks in lines of Lord of the Rings movies and books. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. Home is behind us. The world is ahead. And we get into a bar fight, after Fairy Dust critically fails a persuasion roll. Hilarity ensues as I beat 3 level 0 farmers to death with an assortment of soft fruits and potatoes. But one person isn't having fun. Yes, you guessed it. It was Andrew. He decides if he can't control the campaign, then nobody can have fun. And after the party refuses to go back and loot all the bodies, he throws a temper tantrum.
This is stupid. I need gold. Are you guys gonna give me some?
He then attacks some of the party members with a generic halfling rogue character, and then rages when the paladin and 2 other fighters pin him down, and they tickle him into submission. I'm not even joking. The DM treats the tickling as a weak rope bond, but Andrew, he rolls a critical fail to escape.
This is ridiculous.
This causes his character to lose D6 hit points as a result of mild asphyxiation, dragging him along the intended path while he constantly tried to ruin the campaign by not doing the intended thing, causing the DM to invent reasons why he couldn't kill the guy that they were investigating, or light the evidence on fire, or throw the key down the well. Despite him, we were all having fun. Lady K seemed really pleased because she found an infinite longbow +4, which do not require extra arrows, ever. Our group finished the scenario in style, finding the murderer attempting to create a necromantic spell so that he can raise his victims to fight for him. So we killed the murderer by putting lots of water on the floor and freezing the water. Then we pelted him with rocks, stones, and snow, pushing him off the cliff. We came out of that scenario grinning. Then we decided to play some Warhammer 40k with my Blood Angels and Lady K's Imperial Guard forces, allowing to fight Andrew and Gandalf's combined Chaos Marines and Demon Force. Lady K and I have been playing 40k for about 4 years together, so we know each other's style well, and each other's army list inside out. Blood Angels are the Guard, and are pretty well suited for each other, and they complement each other well. If the list is designed correctly. Most of my army started off on the table in drop pods, and half of which could arrive in turn 1, and the others which could arrive in turn 2. We set up quickly around some city fortifications, and we chose places for a good line of sight, and better hiding spots for chaos. I ran a sanguinary host army, with many assault squads, sanguinary guards, and the Sanguinor. So I was a very fast force that could cover a lot of ground very quickly. Lady K had a lot of heavy armor, tanks, and artillery to support my advance and to keep them pinned. I could get into close combat and wreck them with 4 attacks per model in a normal assault squad, which was 10 models. Turn 1. Everything goes as I planned. I land in the right places, firing pistols, charging in, lock the range units in close combat, so they are pretty much useless. Lady K shreds loads of demons with her artillery, so that their close combat abilities are extremely diminished. They can't do all that much, as most of their models are locked in combat, or pinned in cover. Turn 2. Most of the rest of my army arrives. The Sanguinar fights Abaddon and holds his own. The Sanguinary Guard wrecks everything they meet, but as they are very point expensive, each loss is a huge blow. Their range units are nearly all dead after round 4 of close combat, and Lady K rips everything up that's not already in combat to tiny little pieces. The troops charge into the Sanguinor Abaddon fight, but they do no damage. Turn 3. Everything is on the field by now. Everything is in close combat. All of my assault marines pour into the Abaddon Sanguinor combat and kill most of the units surrounding them. I score a lucky blow.
Yes.
And because of an unlucky roll by Andrew, means Abaddon dies. We win by the 3rd turn. Andrew is fuming. He sweeps the models off the table and he starts accusing me.
You're using loaded dice, you cheating Chad. Besides, old people are all trash and they shouldn't be allowed to play.
The wise only speak of what they know, Andrew, son of Neckbeard. A witless worm you have become. Therefore be silent and keep your forked tongue behind your teeth.
Meanwhile, I'm ignoring him, looking for all my overpriced plastic figures. Yes, I'm 21 at this point. I am getting angrier and angrier as a load of them are broken. I don't have that much money, so I just can't up and replace everything that he broke. And it'll take me hours to fix them all and repaint to hide the damage. Although Lady K, she's doing a magnificent job yelling at him.
What the heck were you thinking? You broke all our figures. You fat, stupid, ugly man baby.
And I get to my feet precisely at the right time to be knocked over by a morbidly obese man-child who pauses in his dramatic exit just to tell me this.
You need to control your bitch. Grow up and stop cheating at a fucking kid's game.
Ever so slightly rich, don't you think? Anyway, later that day, I get a call from Wings, giving me this statement.
Hey, could you not come back to the store? Andrew's mom, she complained about you and Lady K. I don't want to ban you from the store, but they threatened to sue me for destruction of property and enabling violent behavior, plus undue stress caused by the store. So, sorry, man.
I've never been back. Lady K never went back either. So Andrew shot himself in the foot with that one. You would have thought an immature, ugly man-child who smells like yeast and Mountain Dew could have missed some consequences when he thought through his actions. Lady K and I spent the rest of the day fixing my models and touching up the paint job so that I got the army back to its former glory. Sorry if the beardyism isn't as strong in this story, but I can only tell what happened. Next time, it should be a far more beardy story. Still to come, Andrew duels me for the privilege of Lady K's features. Thus comes to the incident, and legal action is taken. Next time, Duel, Blood, and Broken Bones. I'm going to start this story off by introducing the characters. My name is Festus, your narrator. Then we have Lady K. She's the beard's affection, or the wonderful milady. Then there's Andrew, also known as College Beard or Mr. Dorito. He's extremely arrogant, as well as obese, by British standards at least, and an all-around white knight neckbeard. New to our cast is Rocky. He's the boxing instructor. He's built like a tank, and he takes no crap from anyone. Roxanne, the female boxing instructor. She's attractive, but you really don't want to mess with her, as she will knock you out if you try anything dumb. So, on to the story. This takes place around May or June, just before our summer holiday. Lady K and I were very happy, doing very well in our classes, working out together frequently, and nerding it up after hours. But there was one fat, dark, nasty cloud hanging above us, preparing to rain down beat-us raindrops of dew, and then make us mad a bit more. To understand the level of creep you're about to hear, you need to know what we look like. So without any hesitation, I will describe our glorious visages to all of you. Lady K is tall, at 5'11". She is taller than your average guy, with fairly long hair that tumbles down her shoulders like Mr. Wonka's chocolate waterfall. She is slender and athletic, and a perfect face as far as I'm concerned. Her eyes are hazelnut brown too. I am tall, 6'3", and 190 pounds. My hair is kept fairly short and black as pitch. I've got blue eyes, clean shaven, and we're both white as Andrew is short, about 5'7", and huge, according to my opinion, at 220 pounds. His gross beard is literally like the one that you refused to shave off when you're an edgy 14-year-old, because you thought it made you look older, but it's all over his face. He has horrible acne from all the crap that he eats. His hair is very greasy and unkempt. Any shirts that he wears will become plastered to his huge gut by the sweat that always drips from every orifice, and will become covered with food and strange off-white stains within a few hours. But he will wear each one for days on end. He stinks, never showers, and he has the attitude to match his appearance. The reason why I'm telling you this is that one day, Andrew's bag ripped as he was coming out of the lecture hall. What spilled out was a lot of paper, like a whole pack of printer paper, and each one had a full color drawing. Andrew ran like a cowed dog, and being the kind citizens we are, we stopped to pick up the papers. Closer to the drawing, it was easier to make them out. I gathered most of them and took Lady K to my room, where it was easier to make them out. I'll give Andrew credit, he's a talented artist, but his drawings disgusted me. There were several of me lying on the floor, blood spreading from whichever part Andrew chose, but mostly my privates. Speaking of spreading, many drawings depicted
quite clearly, Lady K in various states of undress, showing off to an unseen observer. Andrew had taken the liberty of giving her the most unrealistic features I've ever seen, as well as adding 20 pounds to her weight because of it. Still, other drawings were of him. He had taken off 20 pounds of fat from his body and added 30 pounds of muscle. Even more drawings showing all three of us in full Technicolor, with him and Lady K usually naked, sometimes doing couple stuff, and almost always stabbing me in the chest or in the privates. Scattered among the drawings were some reference printouts of some photos of Lady K laughing, smiling, and even singing one time. Some from Facebook and some from who knows where, and there was reference pictures of female genitalia, which quite obviously had been used multiple times. Even some wounds, like stab wounds, slash wounds, blunt force trauma wounds, all of these from a website like Real Gore or whatever. I can't remember the site, and I'm not Googling to find that crap. Lady K took it better than I did. She just sat there with a 100-mile stare, looking slightly shell-shocked by what we had witnessed. To this day, we discuss why he carried them around with him, and why he even drew them in the first place. I guess he was fantasizing? More than likely. We needed to blow off some steam, so we went to the sports center and did one of those drop-in sessions where you can just go and box and then leave as long as you have a membership. Warming up, I see someone else has the same idea as we had. You guessed it, it was Andrew. Boxing drills were fun. Push-ups, pull-ups, dips, squats, skipping, sit-ups, and calf raises. What was the most fun was blasting through the required 25 as fast as possible so we could watch Andrew for some comic relief. The noises he made while he was doing it were the best. It sounded like each rep was a hot Brazilian model, bringing him closer and closer to climax with each one. Needless to say, Andrew finished last. He flopped over as soon as he was done with the exercises, and he got slowly up, like he just ran a marathon. Rocky split the groups up into guys and a surprising number of girls. He then asked us to get into pairs. This to have some free sparring practice before the 3-minute bouts at the end, before I could look desperately about for any guy to pair with who wasn't Andrew. He yelped out,
I want to spar Festus.
I froze, as a Neckbeard's vision is based on movement, and in that time, he thrust into my hands a pair of boxing gloves. I didn't want to do this, not with Andrew, who harbored murderous fantasies about me, but everyone else had been claimed. So I set about dodging all the slow punches he threw, and slowly listened to my boxing partners, furious.
You're a real that you're not fighting back. You can't take a punch like a girl. You're such an who abuses women.
About 10 minutes later, Rocky called us all into the center, where a boxing ring-sized square was painted on the floor, and said that we can challenge whoever we wanted, only if we were the same sex and in the same weight category. Unfortunately, under 90 pounds and 220 are close enough that Andrew was allowed to challenge me. In front of the whole group, he said,
Winners earn the right to Lady K, and has to do whatever the other guy wants.
I looked over at Lady K, and she just nodded once, so I simply replied, You're on! I pulled on my gloves, and I put in my mouth guard, waiting for the sign to go. I wasn't going to hold back. This bitch was mine, at last, for 3 minutes. Now, if any of you have ever tried to fight a fat person, you'll know the best tactic is to outlast them in stamina, but only had 3 precious minutes. And Andrew may forfeit if he gets too tired. As soon as the bell sounded, I lunged forward, connecting with Andrew's nose, making him reel. He tried to cover his face with his gloves, so I sank several body blows into his enormous stomach, causing his elbows to drop, allowing me an opening to his face. A few strong jabs later, and Andrew was backing off into the corner of the square. His wide nose flattened, and a disturbing mixture of blood and snot was running down his face. I closed the gap, and Andrew warded me off with a couple of easily dodged punches, which left him open on his left side. So I took full advantage, keeping him at arm's length, and hitting him in the side of his face a few times. This continued for about a minute, by which time Andrew was getting desperate. Now, blows to the balls are not allowed in boxing, and knees are not allowed either. But Andrew mixed them both, swinging his large, fat knees into my testicles, causing me to stumble back in pain. Rocky was talking to Roxanne, so he didn't notice this. In my pain-fueled rage, I hit him again and again and again in the nose. He went down with a huge thump. His nose was a bloody mess, and my upper body was splattered with his blood. Rocky ended the session after that, and I told Andrew, "As my prize for victory, I want you to leave us alone." It's just too bad that we never shook hands on it. Lady K and I went back to campus, and she ensured that no permanent damage had been done to my bits, to make absolutely sure everything was in full working order. Beautiful, rage-induced catharsis. The blood. Oh, it sings to me. It was, in my opinion, completely deserved by him, as his actions leading up to this point probably broke the Geneva Convention. He started it, but, at the risk of sounding cliché, I finished it. Never fret, Neckbeard followers. More tales to come, as we still have a whole half of a year with Andrew before legal action was taken. To start off this next story, let's introduce the new characters. Police Constable Jeff. He's the jerk police officer who buys everything Andrew sells. Police Constable James. He's actually a nice police officer, and he believes me. Police Constable Sophia. Mean policewoman. She doesn't believe me or Lady K. Raj. The crappy public defender. He's a police officer's does whatever they say to him. Nearly got me taken to court. Now, this story occurs after a long summer holiday, between years at university. Lady K and I decided to rent a tiny little flat and live together near campus, partially to get away from Andrew, and partly because we wanted to live together. We were still working out and loving life. We still were getting top grades and finishing all of our work. One time, as we were leaving campus, we got into an argument about something tiny and stupid, which ended up with us kinda yelling at each other in public. While we were still angry, we went home. That evening, after calming down, we had a very enjoyable makeup session, after which Lady K went to take a shower. Disaster struck when she got out of the shower, as she slipped over and hit her face and her arm on the radiator, hard. There was blood on the radiator from the cut above her eyebrow, and she kept cradling her arm. Nothing seemed broken or concussed, so she just took painkillers and went to sleep. In the morning, we slept through both alarms, meaning that Lady K, she didn't have time to cover up her black eye or the bruise on her arm with makeup. She had planned to do that. We rushed to campus, arriving just 2 minutes late for the lecture, and we thought nothing more of it. I remembered the amount of filthy looks I got, due to everyone assuming that I had given her a black eye and a cut. I was way too dense to think of the reason, but Lady K responded to the looks by smiling and snuggling her head into my neck or shoulder, which turned away most of the murderous glares. Not all, however, as a certain white knight noticed her injuries, and that they were...
Finally, I got the proof of his woman-beating ways. I'm gonna call the police on him and get him out of my way.
And Andrew did. He called the police on me after the day was over. Let me set the scene. It's early on a Saturday morning when there's a hammering on the door. Waking up is never nice, and is especially bad at 5:30 a.m. Another knock at the door. I got out of bed. As the sun peeked into the sky, I walked groggily over to the front door, only dressed in my underwear. Now, a nearly naked 6'3" guy might be quite intimidating, but nowhere near as intimidating as opening the door to 3 police officers in stab-proof vests, holding batons and yelling at me to get on the ground. In complete panic, I fell to the ground, and I had a very large male police officer jump onto my back and cuff me, far more tightly than what was necessary. The other 2 ran into the flat, finding Lady K asleep in the bed, and they shouted at her to put her hands where the officers could see them. One stayed with her, while the other searched the house for evidence, quickly finding the radiator in the bathroom, which I did not yet clean. Photos were taken, as well as blood samples for evidence, before I was read my rights. I was made to get into some clothes and taken to the local police station. At this point, I was still confused about what I was supposed to have done and to whom I've done it. Upon arrival at the station, they put me in a tiny cell with a toilet and a mattress and served the smallest bowl of cornflakes I've ever seen, as well as a cold cup of coffee. I was never called by name, as they always referred to me as,
Ugh, you piece of
or
kid.
especially by the female police officers. At 8 a.m., they took me into the interview room without legal representation and tried to get me to talk. I may be slow, but I know that I can't say anything, as a good lawyer could twist whatever I said and make it into being a confession. Only said two things: "Where's my representation?" and "no comment." I've gotten about 3 hours worth of sleep. I was aching all over from the arrest, and I was panicking, because if I went to court, I would have a permanent criminal record, and I'd never be able to get a job. Eventually, nearly after an hour of examination, they called off the session, and my representation arrived. He seemed overly chummy with the police officers, and kept giving Police Constable Sophia doe eyes, despite the fact that he was short, ugly, and fat, and she was tall and quite pretty. He never contested what the officer said, and constantly undermined me by making me second guess myself. Eventually, I dismissed him and handled my own life. They showed me pictures of the bloody radiator, and I told them truthfully what happened, and said that Lady K would back up my story, before getting shouted at by Police Constable Sophia, saying that,
How dare you refer to the victim by name, you disgusting filth.
I told them that she was the only person there at the time of the accident, and if they wanted to have just process, that they were obligated to take her statement. Police Constable James had got me a decent cup of tea, and he's been nice to me, whereas Police Constable Jeff and Sophia had been verbally abusive, dismissive of everything I said to prove my innocence, and had denied me a shower when I asked for one. When they took statements from Lady K and some witnesses to our argument, Police Constable Jeff, he came around. But Sophia, she was still treating me like a piece of trash, as she thought that I had beaten my girlfriend, who was...
She's only covering for you out of love. That's usually how it is in an abusive relationship.
They interviewed me, cross-examined me, many times, but I either retold my version of events or refused to comment. By 6 p.m., they heard back from the Crown Prosecution Service, a British thing, which tells the police whether they have a case against me or not, and there was no case against me, and they had to let me go. Over the course of 12.5 hours, Sophia had accidentally trapped my hand in the door, held a hot cup of coffee against my hand when I was cuffed to the table, and led a campaign of verbal abuse against me. Complaints were filed against her and Police Constable Jeff to their over-enthusiastic approach to my arrest and my treatment in custody. I got awarded about £250 in compensation. Lady K was waiting in reception, and she made a big show of throwing herself at me as soon as she was able, in full view of all the officers. We left, and we got back to our flat, where I found that my phone had over 1,300 missed messages, mostly from my so-called friends, about how I was a piece of for beating women. It took Lady K weeks to tell them all that...
No, he has never hit me maliciously, not even once. You should apologize to him for treating him like trash. He's devastated.
Around a month later, most of them had apologized. That month, where everyone rejected me and thought that I was a human piece of garbage, I really considered suicide. If it wasn't for Lady K's support, I probably wouldn't be here today. Andrew texts me every day, telling me,
You piece of trash. You should just die.
I saved every one of those texts in my screenshot library so that I would have future proof. I lost about 20 pounds over the course of that month, and I generally felt like crap, but I quickly regained my weight and happiness after everyone stopped wishing me dead. I wish I was joking. Still to come, the incident, legal action, and the end. This is it, guys. The final conclusion to the saga of Andrew. And what a wild ride it has been. We've had cringe, tantrums, creepy everything, stalking, arrest, violence, and all roads have led to this. Today, we reclaim our freedom! As always, we'll start with the cast. Festus, me, your narrator, Lady K, the object of the beard's affection, Andrew, or Mr. Dorito, which is the college beard. Mr. A makes his return. Huge guy, very kind. Plus he had important evidence, which was needed for the reporting. Mrs. HR, head of the university HR department. Very nice woman, but deals with a lot of students' crap. She can be a little impatient. This final stanza, the 21 gun salute, to send off our tale, begins as they all should, in bed, where you are warm and safe and loved. Lady K and I, we laid there a while on a cold Saturday morning, sometimes not saying a word for hours. This cold Saturday morning, however, we were discussing what needed to be done about Andrew. We had kept the evidence of what he had done, some of the revolting pictures, a photo of the vibrator, screenshots of the more interesting text, Lady K's door from her old room after Andrew tried to break in, and the video of his verbal abuse at the party, omitting the slap. With a comprehensive portfolio of evidence against the beard, we decided to just do it. To go for the gold and report his arse. That is how we found ourselves in the HR department on Monday morning with a bag full of evidence. The department was very helpful. They looked over all the evidence that we collected and saw the effects that it had on us. They handled everything professionally, and they decided that we should go to the police to press charges of harassment and stalking. Meanwhile, Andrew has changed tactics, trying to steal from my girl to trying to get me out of the way so that he could move in and pick up the pieces. A series of elaborate traps were set for me, from the old banana peel slipperoo to the classic trip lines in front of the doorway to slightly more dangerous, with the electronics that I handled every day in the physics lab being dangerously tampered with. I documented everything I found, and I fixed all that I could. Also the epidemic of him trying to trip and slip me, even at the physics department. But I never fell. Eventually, the police decided that we had a case against Andrew, so they brought him in to question him. After a while, we got a restraining order. Andrew wasn't allowed to come within 300 feet of us, meaning that he couldn't continue doing physics at the current university. He wasn't allowed to contact us, and he had to pay us about 1,000 pounds each for the damages. His mom paid. Epilogue. After Andrew had the restraining order, both Lady K and I achieved first-class degrees. We went on to achieve master degrees too. We currently live together and are engaged at the moment. We work in a research laboratory, learning from great physicists while we test stuff. It's a lot of fun. I love the job what I do. I am currently doing a part-time PhD based on mechanical physics, which takes a lot of time and effort, but it will be worth it. In fact, we have a new neckbeard. I will call him Sir Ham, a computer technician in our lab who records all of our data. So stay tuned for that, dear friends. To be continued.
Hello, this is Dallas. Thank you for joining me for this compilation of College Beard. I'm going to try my best to get one more episode out this week. It's been extremely hectic, like crazy hectic, but I want to get that done. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much to my patrons. I greatly appreciate your assistance and your support. It really helps out. If you want to become a patron, just follow the link below. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys soon. And remember, have fun with your failures, or they'll have fun with you.